Hello guys, and welcome back to the How to Animate YouTube channel. And in this video I'm going to be showing you how to animate a dragon. It's going to be a two-part thing. First of all, we're going to set up animation layers. There's going to be a whole bunch of animation layers set up, such as flap, lean left, lean right, just a whole suite so we can dial them on and off. And then we're going to put him on a path and animate him. And this is one that I made earlier. We're not going to be doing exactly this. We're going to do something a bit different this time, just give you an idea of the kind of things you can achieve using this layer system. So let's get into Maya and get started. So if you're looking for a free dragon rig, this one's pretty good. The link is in the description to download this. But what I'm going to show you can apply to any other dragon rig that you can find or build. So let's make a start. So when you first import this guy, this is what he's going to look like in his T-pose. We're going to do some modifications straight away. We're going to set everything to FK. So the FK and IK switches are here. So you select these crosses here, like so, and just turn the FK IK blend all the way down to 0, which will turn him into a FK. So when you move the root now, the whole dragon should move. So we're going to be using Maya animation layers to build this. So first thing we're going to do is select all of the nurbs controllers on the rig. If you go to this tab here, this is animation layers, and click this. This will add everything you've selected into animation layer 1. Now we're not going to be using base animation layer at all in this, so best thing to do is to set a key on it and then just forget about it. Everything's going to be built above this, so the idea behind this is it layers on top. So if you wanted to have the dragon come in and land, then you'd start using base animation and then dial off everything on the other layers. So best to avoid putting anything on the base layer as it can mess up everything above it. So for now we're going to be concentrating on anim layer 1. We're going to call this flap. So we're going to build a flap cycle. So what we're going to do is start off from the core and then work our way out. So we want to figure out our initial rhythm of the character. So we're going to do it on 0, 30 and 60. So this would be our main keyframes here. So at 30 you just move him down, and then 60 and 0 will act as the up keys. So you should be moving up and down like so. Then we're going to go up to our graph editor. If you go to Window, Animation Editors, Graph Editor. Okay, so we're going to make sure we've got our flap layer selected here, and we're going to select Rotate X. And what we're going to do is bring the dragon down during the middle keyframe. Okay, so it should look something like this. Now what we're going to do is select all these keys, go to Curves, Pre-Infinity Cycle, Post-Infinity Cycle. We're going to Shift and middle mouse button. So then we're going to offset our Rotate X back to about here, because what we want to have is a sine wave going down the body. So we want the body to lean forward first and then get caught up by the translation at the back. So you should have something that looks like this now. So once you have the main control looking something like this, it's time to start moving down the hierarchy. So next we're going to animate the 4 spine controls. We're going to follow the same pattern as before. So a key at 0, 30 and 60. So at frame 30 we're going to rotate down, and at frame 0 we're going to rotate up, and just copy and paste 0 to 60. Okay, now we're going to go back to the graph editor. Now loop front and back again. And we're going to start offsetting these just by dragging them forward. So we're going to move our way down the hierarchy. So with moving all the controls like this, then we're going to deselect this one here and shift this along. Deselect that one, so we've got the last two, move along a bit, deselect and shift along. Okay, so we should have a nice wave going down the body now. And now exactly the same thing with the head. So these 4 controllers all selected. Set a key at 30 and 60 and 0. Okay, at 0 you want to rotate down like so, and at 30 up, and then just copy and paste 0 at 60. So it should look something like this now. So we're going to open up the graph editor again and offset some of these things. So we've got all controls selected, so I'm just going to move these back a little bit. Make sure that you cycle your animation. Okay, I'm just moving along the hierarchy and bring these forward, and then the last 2, bring them forward, and then the final one like that. So everything's going to be staggered. So the head leads the action, like so. So now we have something like this. What we want to do is actually bring the 2 head controllers back again. Because he's trying to keep his head forward in flight, it makes more sense for him to have his head down at this point. So you see he's trying to keep his head level, but then this ripple goes all the way down through the body. So now what we're going to do is do the tail section. Do a similar thing with this. So set a key at 0, at 30 and at 60. So we're going to start off by having it rotated down like so. At 30 it's going to be up, and then just copy and paste 0 to 60. Go up to graph editor again, loop front and back. Okay, so it should look something like this, and we're going to start offsetting going down. So we're going to deselect this one here, and then move everything along. Deselect the next one, move everything along, and just continue all the way down. So you should be getting this kind of shape happening now. It's always nice to exaggerate the tip of the tail. So towards this back section, maybe sort of like the 3rd one. Just going to scale this a bit. So if you select all the keys, switch to scale over here, and then shift and middle mouse button, then you can scale up this entire section like so. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And then the tip of the tail is quite extreme. So you're going to get this nice breaking of the tail as it comes towards the end. So now we have this ripple going down. Kind of notice that it's all in the wrong place, so I'm just going to move everything along. So what we want is, as his weight drops, the tail then follows through like so. So at this point you should have something that looks roughly like this. The beauty of using this system is you're able to quickly go in and exaggerate stuff and, you know, create it the way you want. This is kind of a bit vanilla, you know, so you might want to exaggerate the spine coming up and down and stuff, but it's really up to you. This system allows for you to do whatever you want, really. So we're almost ready to do the wings. We're just going to have a quick look at these legs first. So we want to get these legs into a nicer position first. We want them sort of tucked back. So I'm just going to go ahead and pose them into a nicer shape. Now they've been posed out into a nicer position, I'm going to go ahead and animate them. I've selected all the controls for the leg. I'm going to set a key at 0, 30 and 60 as usual. And we're going to start off with these top controls here. So at 0, they're going to be up. At 30, bring them down, like so. So as the weight of the dragon drops, the legs are going to lag behind and then come up. We're going to add an offset to this as well in a minute. So we're just going to go through the chain. So down to the next controller, we're going to do the same thing. At 30, just rotate them down. And grab the ankle controls and do the same thing. Okay, we go to the graph editor now and we start offsetting these now. So once you're done with all the offsetting, it should look something like this. So as the dragon's weight hits the bottom part, the feet lag behind, and you can follow it through all the way down to the toes if you like. So once you have the body in this kind of state, it's time to move on to the wings finally. So what we're going to do is start off with the shoulder controls. So on this rig, you have two controls, basically control the main parts of the wing. You've got this, and then you've got this one here as well. If you was just to use this one, it wouldn't look very good. It wouldn't look like it's coming from the shoulder part, so it's best to animate these shoulders first. So we're going to start with them up in the air like so. And then at 30, bring them down. And copy and paste like so. So it should look something like this. Okay, so next we're going to move on to these wing controls and follow the same pattern. So raise them up and then down at 30. And then copy and paste. So a good thing to do at this point is start to add roll to the wings. So what we're going to do is rotate on X here and have them back in this position here. And then on the lower position, we're going to roll them forward like so. And once we start building in the motion to the rest of the wing, you'll see why. So if you go into the graph editor and select both of your rotate X's and then add an offset to this, then you'll see it starts to look like he's catching the air with his wings already. So next thing we're going to do is change these tangents here for the wing going up and down. So you want to sort of have the wings snap down a bit quicker. So we're going to change it to more of this kind of shape so that the down has a slight bit more snap to it. Okay, the next part we're going to look at is the elbow controls here. So what we're going to do for this is at 30 we're going to rotate them down like so, and then at 0 and 60 we're going to have them up in this position here like so. Now we're going to manually put these in-betweens in, so we won't be using the offsetting method for this. So what we're going to do is have them in this kind of position at frame 15. Going to offset this to about 34, and then at about 46 we're going to bring them down into this kind of position. So you should have something that looks like this. So moving down the chain, we're going to do exactly the same thing for the wrists. So at about frame 16, I'm going to try and rotate them back like so. then going to move frame 30 along to about 38 and then bring them in like so. Okay, about frame 50, I'm going to counter rotate them back this way and then copy and paste 0 to 60. So you should have something that looks like this. So at the end of the chain you've got these parts here. So I'm going to do a similar thing. So at frame 30 set a key, at 60 set a key. At frame 0 we're going to rotate them in like this. Okay, as it comes through they're going to rotate back. Okay, we're going to offset to about frame 42 I'd say, and then bring them in. Okay, and then on the way up counter rotate them back this way and then copy and paste 0 to 60. So you should have something that looks like this now. So I think it'd be nice to offset the tips a little bit. So I'm going to loop front and back and just drag them across just by a few frames so you get a nice overlap on this last part of the wing here. So next we're going to take a look at the membrane part. So I've selected all the top controls for the membranes here, and what we're going to do is set a key front and back and at 30 again. So at the top part here they're going to be rotated up like so. Okay, as they come through they're still going to be in this kind of position. Okay, going to offset this to about 38 and rotate them in like so. And as they drag back up, just add another in between there and then copy and paste 0 to 60. So they should look something like this. So on the way down the dragon is catching the air, so what we're going to do is select the midpoints like so, and at this point we're going to counter rotate them into this kind of position where he catches it. I'm going to offset this quite far and then rotate these in and then back up again. So you should have something that looks like this. So this dragon has quite a nice control system to control these parts. They just translate up and down. So what they allow you to do is catch the wind in the wings. So on the way down, sort of like frame 12, you can lift them up to make them look like they're bellowing out. Okay, and then as it returns to about 30, then you can just return them back to normal. That's pretty much it for the flap layer. There is one layer I'd like to add before we end this video, and that's going to be called side to side. So you'll see at the moment the dragon is very flat. So what we're going to do is basically double this loop and then add a side to side motion. So first thing to do is select all your nurbs controls, and in your graph editor just double check that everything is looped pre-infinity and post-infinity. Then we're going to double our timeline to 120, and then just double check that frame 120 and 0 are the same and nothing is snapping. So that's a perfect loop at the moment. So basically we've just doubled that entire loop cycle. So we're going to select all the nurbs controls and we're going to create a new layer on top of flap, and we're going to call this side to side. So we're going to be using the main control to create this. So what we'd like to do is start him over in this kind of position and rotate him to the side. Okay, and then on the next up position, I'm going to rotate him back this way and move him across. So you should get something that looks like this. And then we're going to copy and paste 0 back to 120 to create a loop. So you should get something that looks like this. Now what we're going to do is just offset the translates and rotates, because we want him to rotate in and then the translates to catch up afterwards. So we're going to do that in the graph editor. So the two curves we're using here is translate X and rotate Y. So we're going to make sure these are looped front and back, and we're going to offset the translation. So just select the translation and just move it back. So you should get something that looks like this now, where he rotates into it and then the translation catches up afterwards. And that concludes this video. I hope you was able to follow along. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments. In the next video, we're going to start adding even more animation layers. So we're going to add a glide layer and a left and right, and we're going to add what I call a noise layer as well. So all these layers have been built up and we're going to use those to create our final animation. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then give it a like, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.